thank you. Appreciate it. An honor. This is the first part. This is me for the first time ever kind of doing this for like normal people who aren't buying me into a company or to a group of personal trainers. So I'm really glad that it's used. So thanks. And it's a Thursday evening. Thanks for taking time out. It's appreciated. I'm Philip Brady. So Seamus, you're the only one I think that doesn't know me. Welcome. This is your intervention. We're here to give you some advice about. Originally from Dublin, moved up here 10 years ago. I have a wife, a cat, a dog. I'll show you in a couple of minutes anyway. And I'm honored to get to do some cool work with some cool people. Yep. And I'm really glad that you're here, so thank you. Thank you. And I want to get you talking to each other because it's also not about me. I could talk about this stuff probably for 2 or 3 days straight. I want to get you talking to each other and talking to different people. Some of you know each other, some of you don't. It's really important that we talk about this stuff, and I want the wisdom of the crowd to win rather than just what I know and what's on the slides. Make sense? One more person. Hello. You're welcome. I'm Philip.
Sorry?
I'm Philip.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. What's your name?
可以
What is it?
可以 Mia.
Mia. Nice to meet you. Do you want to sit somewhere you choose? Yeah, you sure? Vitamin P is the business. I'll talk about that a little bit later on. I always start with this as the first slide because typically people will be like, do you really want to use that as your first slide? And I say, yes, of course I want to use this as the first slide. Does anybody know the story about this? Has anybody heard about it? The story from U Squared by Price Pritchett. And he says that there's a fly banging into a window relentlessly under the illusion. If I try harder, I'll achieve the goal of getting outside the window. When actually what it doesn't realize is if it paused long enough, instead of being under the illusion of trying harder, there's an open door to the right, that it would achieve its goal by not trying as hard about the thing that was never going to work. And what I want to try and do is give you a couple of ideas or tools or suggestions that might be helpful, that is opening the door of possibility and just seeing what that's like to try on. Make sense? Because I imagine I experience life as this, the yin and the yang, the mix of the good and bad. And typically when the bad shows up, we resist it and we reject it and we say that I'm the bad thing. When actually this is just part of the journey. This is also here. We just sometimes miss it or we ignore it. I believe the banging into the window in the fly story is from fear. It's if I change, it's really hard. It's really difficult. I don't know what's out there, so I'd rather stay safe and certain rather than lean into the unknown. And I imagine that is this, walking through the open doors, this kind of act of love, it's this opening. If you take nothing else from what I'm going to talk about tonight, this is closing, back to the past, retreating, and I'll talk about dying at the end of the conversation as well. I think the only antidote to knowing we're going to die is actually opening, choosing to open our heart, to lean in, and the secret to that is a little bit of courage. We'll talk about that as well. I put this in just because everybody's coming in from probably busy days, busy weeks, getting ready for Easter. If everybody just takes an inhale in through your nose like this, and a long, slow exhale, now we'll be a little bit more present. I told you I'd introduce myself, right? So everybody knows my wife, Katie, right? Everybody probably knows Mary. Has anybody heard of Mary? So she's my 96-year-old friend. On the 31st of March, so in a couple of days' time, I'm actually going to be home for her birthday. She'll be 97. Beautiful person. I met her when I was a teller in the bank, and she used to come in every Wednesday. She'd take out money. I would give her money, and she would pay her bills and this kind of thing. So every Wednesday now, I text her or I ring her. So I speak to her roughly every week. And whenever I'm home, she takes out the good crockery, and she makes me tea and takes out cakes and stuff like this. It's just beautiful. Most problems in life, if you think about her lifetime, is this, it's really long. I'm roughly here, some people are roughly here. When you see life or challenges or things that happen on a day-to-day basis from her perspective, it puts everything into perspective. Nothing feels as big. We adopted Ludi roughly 5 or 6 years ago. This is Elvis, my beagle pup. We call him a purebred bastard. Even though he's a hound dog, that's where he got his name. And then the slide that I'm going to show is the next slide, but this is the one that I'm showing here. This is roughly 300 people. Darren was doing content as well. Darren, thanks for doing content tonight. Again, I said this is my first one of these to do in the kind of open, so I can film it. I want to use this to kind of promote myself a little bit more on social media, hence he's here. The only person that's going to be recorded is me. That's a promise, right? So I want to get you talking to each other a little bit as well. So just it won't be recorded. Make sense? Please trust the space. It's only here. But on the picture before, just have a conversation at your table. Who would you put on your introductory slide? Who or what matters to you? Just turn to the person beside you. Do you want to come and talk to me, or do you want to sit at one of these tables?
What else do you have?
Really good friends.
So you started?
Yes. So I have 3 5 weeks ago, my 3 just hired her.
Such a short time. It's funny though, I think it was like
One before that, was right for until July. Yeah, we had an event center there, but one reason purpose where I served for everything else. I think that then my captain told me. My granddad was here this time last year.
It's actually it feels like a short period of time.
Especially and you're like just like a lot of the
Well, I have a business partner. So I need help.
really are. I probably have a picture of Volkswagen as well. Their store. So it's probably spare time.
Not recording the audio, but they may still be on
Yeah,
photo.
yeah. I said the mic is just too. Yeah, that's fine. Permission.
I
Hard is that with
It's been
Go to say sleepless nights still with Yeah.
experts as your sister.
And when you first started then
I don't know why I said that. It's definitely
she
not.
unexpectedly decided years ago after during COVID to set up a personal so she's really she's interested in science. So yeah, that's what she's doing. Yeah, it's great. I was actually hoping for a boy. We can have more girls and obviously
Oh, I love that. That's
So good time or
How was that for you in terms of
new rules.
avoiding mistakes? This feels like
We don't want to move that
great.
Yeah.
that comes from the
Maybe one more minute.
No worries.
Yeah, actually, I'm not too far to here, but and then our business house. Down, so it's basically between the business across the road and the National Gallery. So they've done the whole building of the house, to be honest. But it's lovely because like the ASOS started in there and then they went to different offices, but it's like church artists, but it's all like different tech hubs and startups, and it's a really lovely feel about it. Have a really good community in there, so yeah, so it's a warmer bath. It's a journey.
That whole building
building like
Yeah. You're right. We do see this kind of so businesses and it's lovely to have support and stuff. Even if you're not in the same industry, but just sit beside you in the space going, this is so stressful. What are we doing? You know, that way. So I think that's the first really important. Yeah. So we've all done it for about 10 years and been there on time. And then we came together. As Ross said, like, we don't have people around the place, we don't have to write stuff well, but our just done it so well. And when we came together, we genuinely wanted to
Okay. All right. Interesting to do that and remind yourself who or what's important, right? It's easy to lose that in the chaos of life. So that was just the invitation. Did you get to share? Yeah.
I'm just studying here in the UK.
Amazing. Who would be on your slide?
Sorry?
Who have you any animals or pets?
I had it before, just the dogs.
Oh, nice.
It's very cute.
Yeah, good. It's
Can I get a monkey?
yeah, of course you can. Yeah. Does anybody else want tea or coffee? Okay. What I wanted to talk about really, when I think about, again, about life is change, constant change. What do you see when you see this picture? There's no bad answers, although I'll tell you one that I heard a couple of weeks ago. It's definitely a bad answer. What was it? Okay, good. You're on the good list. What else do you see?
Change.
Yeah.
Transformation.
Yeah.
Evolution.
Evolution, nice. So-
Reflection.
Reflection. Okay, say more.
I don't know. Transformation came first, change was in mine, and then we're looking at it and like looking back.
Okay, nice. So see the evolution or see the change or the trans. Okay, beautiful. Let me let me put that down. I haven't heard that before. It's a super example because again, it's so I'm going to tell you the answer in a minute, but we forget to do that. So when we get to this point and actually it happens again, let's just imagine you turn back to a caterpillar. What actually happens is you forget all the times that you've gone through this before. And we ignore this and we start from here going of no memory. And I'll show you how your brain and body plays tricks on you to actually prove that. What's missing from the image? What do you not see? Not a trick question. Yes, right? So the messy middle, this is how Instagram works. We see person start, they end. Perfect. Want movie? Get it straight away. We never see the transformation. We never see the journey. We never see the effort or the hard work, right? The bad answer that somebody saw was a worm. And I've still been looking for the worm because I see a caterpillar. I don't know that it's a worm, but I think it's hilarious. It's so funny. So I can talk about this, but I want to get you to experience it. So this is where I make you all really uncomfortable. So if you find somebody that you're not beside, in pairs, just stand up. And when you're in pairs, just put your hand up.
Okay.
And if anybody needs... I would say as well, I would say mixed tables as well. So just introduce yourself. JP and Orla, you just have to change with somebody on the other table. Let's mix it up properly. Okay. Yes. Huh? Loads of space. Come up here as well. Loads of space. Come this way. You have to stay standing. Yes. Carol and JP. Loads of space. Up here. Loads of space. Go towards the back. Loads of space. Right? You're coming right up here. Come on ahead, Seamus. Yeah. You're going to be the model children. Come on ahead. Right, everybody's in pairs. This is easier when there's only 10. What I want you to do, these are still talking. All right, JP. I'm just kidding. I'm only kidding. So just turn and face your partner. And I want you to experience this. So I'm going to show you a model. More or less, this is Bridget's transition model on the slide, right? Perfectly demonstrated by Seamus and Ross. I'm just kidding. I want you to feel this, not just understand it conceptually, right? Because it's very different when you feel it in your body. So for 1 minute, I'll time it. All I want you to do is turn and face... Greg, it's a handstand for 1 minute. Come on ahead, you can do it, right? All I want you to do is face your partner and just observe them in silence for 1 minute.
God, this is
Right, 1 minute. Let's go. In silence, no laughing. Just observe. Just observe.
I know. We're gonna get hitched.
In silence,
Brett McGree.
no laughing, no falling in love. All right, JP. 1 minute. Just observe. Right, that's roughly 30 seconds. Anybody fall in love?
We're getting there.
Used to. All right, unbelievable. How's your body feeling? What do you notice? You can stop observing. These two are falling in love here. You take it easy, will you, Brian? Come on, be careful. What do you feel? What do you notice? Oh, all right. Okay, what else? What's going on in your body?
It's just it's like reflection. It is reflection. It is just it's a connection. It's a reflection. It's saying nothing but connect with someone.
Okay. Do you feel comfortable or uncomfortable?
I'm trying to feel mostly uncomfortable.
I feel tense.
Okay, tense, good.
I feel like we're gonna fight or something.
Okay, so typically two things happen.
Fight the next night. Weighing in.
You fall in love or you fight. So I'm glad.
It's fine line.
Love hate.
So a little bit of tension.
Yeah, it's not the
Right.
most comfortable situation.
See, I'm not feeling that at all.
Okay, cool. Really good catch. What else do you feel? What else do you notice?
Comfortable, like, with it.
Uncomfortable, okay.
Feel comfortable with it.
You are comfortable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm kind of used to it because I would have done it then in the fighting days, like when I was fighting. So it would have been. So that's why I'm comfortable with it.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah. I
Okay.
can see he's uncomfortable with it, like,
So you feel vulnerable. So just a second, JP, right? So vulnerable, more comfortable. Again, different example, right? So you weren't feeling the tension, you were feeling the tension, right? So very different responses to the same thing. Over here?
Someone mentioned mirroring, but I noticed we were probably mirroring each other. If you looked away, I'd probably look away. And if I was uncomfortable,
Yeah? So you're trying to find rapport, but you haven't yet figured out. So let me copy what other people are doing, because that seems to be the thing. A little bit, right? Okay. Orla, or down the back, Jenna? What did you just notice? Mia? Okay. So just watching what other person is doing. Okay. Orla?
Attention makes my worst nightmare. So when somebody's looking at you, it's very uncomfortable. But actually, looking at somebody now is the most natural thing in the world as well. So it's
Yeah.
like,
So there's a want to connect, but a real discomfort.
yeah, I don't like attention at all. So it's
Okay.
like, yeah.
Interesting. So now what I want you to do is turn around from your partner, face the opposite way. Just change 3 things about your appearance.
3.
So turn around from your partner. Just change 3 things about your appearance. So what could you change? And just put your hands up when you've changed the 3 before you turn around.
Are we turning?
Just before you turn, 1 second. Okay, turn around. See, can you notice the 3 things?
That was really good.
Hands up when you've spotted the 3. Hands up when you spotted them.
I can only spot 2.
Okay.
Do you know what it is? We know what the 3 are, but we're gonna actually
Yes. Okay. Hands up when you've got the 3, or roughly ready. So if I asked you to do it again, how would you feel?
I'm struggling to find another 3.
Okay. And this is some of the point. So the feeling of discomfort, the feeling of not knowing the answer, the feeling of I don't know what else I would do in this situation. Again, if we experience it, it'll explain everything that I have on the next 7 slides. I typically do that maybe once or twice more, but I'm going to choose not to do it because I want you to love me a little bit more than that, right? So take a seat and I'll show you some cool stuff. So tell me what it was like. Tell me what the experience was like. A little bit uncomfortable. A little bit of, let me see what the other people are doing. What else?
Paranoid.
What is it?
Paranoid.
Paranoid. Okay, yes. Good word. I'll tell you why. Can we jump there just for a second? Known world, unknown world. Banging into the window, known. Out the door, unknown. Your body and mind want to prioritize this over everything because it survived today. All it wants to do is keep you the same. Anything to move forward, your body and mind will go, this is dangerous, we must be paranoid. So paranoid is just negative thinking. So I must make negative judgments about the environment to keep me safe and alive. So that's an act of love, even though it feels horrible, because it's fear. It's just trying to keep you alive. So paranoia in an environment that's new and could be different is really useful. But we judge it as bad. It's not bad, it's really helpful. Sorry. What else did you experience?
Empathy.
Empathy. Okay, nice. You're broken, I think. I don't know what's... Empathy. Say more.
I felt his discomfort. So I got a heat in the chest and I was like, how can I help?
Beautiful.
So empathy.
Yeah, so you could feel what that tension was in Carl.
Yeah, and a natural instinct to try and make him feel more comfortable.
Yes. Beautiful. Nice. I haven't heard that before. So I typically do it maybe one more time, and people are looking like, what else am I going to do here? I'm going to run out of stuff. One person, Darren has the footage, ended up topless. He just wanted to show off. Yeah. He just, I did it in a HO room recently, and I'm like, I'm not allowed to do this. Please don't be topless in the room. It was crazy. But it was at a fitness summit, so of course they wanted to show off their bodies. So it's different, but maybe, does anybody else want to share what the experience was like?
It was just really awkward.
Just really awkward?
Someone even really knows staring at them is a bit weird.
Yeah. I'll give you that $5 later on for saying that. That was perfectly set up, Carl. Thank you. Normal. So when you're in times of change, when you're going from known world to unknown world, it's normal. You don't know the environment. You're navigating somewhere new. You don't know who you are, what it is, what other people expect of you, all that kind of stuff. When this shows up, though, we judge yourself as bad. It's not bad. It's all normal. All of these 7 things I'm going to show you, all expected. But again, when they show up, they go, oh, it's imposter syndrome. Or it must be something with me. It's not. All normal. This one makes sense? First dynamic of change. When you accept that this is true, well, then it makes change a little bit easier. You don't shy away from it going, I'm the thing that's bad or wrong. You're going to change it. It's just the thing. The next one. We typically see change as losing stuff, what we have to give up. So again, we think about taking off the clothes. We don't think about adding to our appearance. Or, for example, here, you add to your appearance, actually helping somebody else out in times of change. Because we go through this alone. We go through this as individuals. Did anybody help each other? Did anybody say here? Or maybe you did actually when you had you had to point out the things about change. No, actually what I did was this. So you do, but when you're doing it and trying to come up with the 3 things, you're on your own. It's an individual thing. Again, normal. The secret to change then is to changing with other people and uniting people in those times of change towards something that's brighter and better in the future. Does that make sense? The other thing, maybe just to go back to this one, is if we see change as losing, giving up, do you think we're more likely to move towards it or away from it? Away from it, right? But the other thing about this is, typically when you're here, the caterpillar growing into butterfly casts off that kind of shell. So the stuff that's really helpful that doesn't serve you anymore, that you're carrying with you, you may not need to carry it forward. The future, if there's no room for the future in the present, there's no room for the future. You have to get rid of stuff. Some stuff is useful to give up and end. And again, typically we'll have open loops in our mind and in our body. Like a trauma response sometimes is an open loop that hasn't been resolved or calmed. Giving up the right stuff is really helpful to move forward. So typically in times of change, we'll say, what can we add? Not what can we stop? What do I need to start? Not what can I stop? Who might I need to spend less time with? Right? We think about how do I grow into a different community? Makes a difference. Again, loneliness. Change is a lonely, isolating experience unless you're growing and changing in a community. So I think Jenna and Seamus, you're in Kieran's community, for example. Makes change easier when you're part of a group of people. It's really powerful. So again, I only did that kind of change thing once. I just thought it was more useful to do it that way. If we had done it 2 or 3 more times, you're going to be like, I can only do this for so long. Too much change too quick puts too much of a load on us. It's too overwhelming. And again, the easiest answer in times of overwhelm is go back to known. Go back to banging into the window, trying harder. Because at least we know that. And it's certain. We know what we need to do. We know who we are. So it's typically identity and behavior. Does this make sense? So again, if you're coaching other people, leading other people, working with other people, trying to help them with transitions in careers, all this stuff will play out. And it's the patience to actually walk with people as you do it. Make sense? Any maybe questions or reactions so far? I'm happy to be wrong about everything I share. The answer can be no. Plow on? Plow on. This is why I asked you, JP, about your, let me just do this. You say, I'm just kidding. So you, compared to Carol, had very different reactions to this thing. Often in times of change, when you see somebody doing well with it and other people struggling, we get adversarial, we go against each other. So we go and we think that we're at opposite levels or opposite teams because we're at different levels of readiness. My tolerance for stress and chaos is extremely high in comparison to my sister, for example. My sister had some mental health kind of challenges a couple of years ago. Her tolerance for stress is very different. But if we were to compare, it's just not a fair comparison. But instead it's like, what are you doing different? How can I learn from you? And actually walking over and actually helping the other person or asking for help. Again, it doesn't have to be lonely or isolating. It can be a coming together, not a moving away from. Make sense? Any reactions to that? Greg, you're deep in thought. Do you want to share something?
No, I'm just thinking about something that's going on in my life at the minute where a relative is unwell. And every day my wife's saying, are you alright? Are you dealing with this? Are you dealing with this? And I'm going, I'm fine. But that's just the difference in how we can deal with change and deal with stress.
Yes.
She can't, I can't.
Yes.
Better.
Yeah. And I mean, the other thing about, let me go back to this one. So I'm not judging you or your wife, right? But you could be further along the change curve. She might be further back and saying, how come you don't experience what I'm experiencing? But it's like I've gone through that loop quicker. One of the people that I'm coaching at the moment lives in the future, extremely strategic, extremely big picture. This person's work is to walk back to where the team are and walk with them where they are. So it's not to say change quicker. It's to say, where are you now? What are you experiencing? Oh, that's okay. Normal. Here's the things about change. All normal, all expected. Let me walk with you through it. And you don't do that by you moving back in the cycle, but definitely by just sitting with other people where they are. Does that make sense? Any reactions to that?
I feel like at different stages of life, I'm better or worse, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know what those stages are, just like notice some days I'm really good at handling it and other days I'm really bad.
I'll show you why.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our capacity changes.
Okay.
And I think, so let me go back a second ago. We can only hold so much. So sometimes your capacity is at its limit because of how much residue or buildup is in your system. If you can get really good at ending stuff, your capacity to hold is greater. And I'll add something, maybe make a mental block, remind me Gestalt later on. There's some simple things that you can do to increase capacity. I'll talk a little bit about it. It depends on the buildup in your system. Yeah, and there's ways to decompress that. Maybe any other questions or thoughts? Because this is the next one. So if I see change as losing, and taking off again, clothes is just an external example that you can see, I'm going to be worried that there's nothing left. What am I going to do when the next layer is topless? right? So we're nervous about this. We're nervous that we're going to run out of stuff. But again, we forget what we can get in times of change, what we can add to our appearance, what we can add to our life, the time, the energy, and the attention we might get from change. Because again, we can end stuff. We can leave it behind. It doesn't serve us anymore. That can be stories, beliefs, thoughts, people, tasks, behaviors, companies, whatever it needs to be. Make sense? And then the last one is, and again, in times of change and pressure and you're making change for other people, if we take the pressure off, we just go back to what was certain. The caterpillar identity, certain. I knew it. I lived it. People expected it from me. Butterfly, this is new. I want to go back because I want to feel a little bit more certain. So if you fold your arms the way that you normally do, what way do you fold them? So I fold them like this. What way do you do them? Right? And fold them the opposite way. What's it feel like? JP, we're just folding arms. And fold them the opposite way, JP. What's the way that you don't fold it? Feels a bit weird. People have to think about it. A bit awkward. And if you go back now to the way that you used to do it, it feels lovely, doesn't it? So your work in times of change is to fold your arms the opposite way. That's the work. That's it. Who am I now? I have to think about it. It's a little bit awkward. What would people think when I'm not sure what I'm doing? You get really vulnerable, like I'm exposed. Like I don't have capacity for this because I can't do this in front of 10 people and Darren, right? All these kind of things play out in times of change. My mentor, he's one down from Buddha. What he says is, plant seeds, water daily, and don't shout at them to grow faster. And the seeds are 1%, because your nervous system, and again, I can talk about physiology, which I can do forever, can only update roughly 1% at a time. We expect brand new person overnight. Doesn't work. Too much, nervous system will collapse. Go back to safety and certainty, which is in the past, known world. To expand and to grow into life, we must small changes over time because they compound. There is transformation ways to do things, but it's a little bit harder. Make sense? Plow on. Anytime I talk about nature, I always do. These are hermit crabs. Typically, let me talk about how to learn from crabs, right? It's not a personal experience. Hermit crabs experience stress when they've already outgrown the shell that they're in. So they're rubbing up against the shell that's too small for them. So your comfort zone, any of those kind of things, when you're rubbing up against it, you know you're capable of more. One of my clients talks about it like a bumblebee in a lunchbox. Energy that's way beyond this container of the company that they were in, right? They leave the shell, they're in this mushy, exposed like layer underneath, and they have to step into that. It's a little bit messy. They could go back to the confines and safety and certainty of before, but they're ready to grow and expand because that's who they are. We're built for being where we are, but we're also built for becoming, expanding, opening into life. That's some of the invitation with tonight. How might you open a little bit more often and notice when you close and just choose to open a little bit longer? So we grow into the bigger shell. So some of the work, and imagine this is for yourself, but I know some of you are leading other people as well, right? Help people leave behind the old shell. Argue why it no longer serves them, why it's potentially holding them back. We typically are bad at this. We don't argue why the past needs to change. We should honor it because it served who we were, but it no longer serves who we're becoming. So it's really useful to argue away from the past. Maybe let me pause. Make sense? Any questions? You're looking really pensive, so that's why I'm pausing. Yeah.
Natural.
Yeah.
Natural,
Yeah. Just my modus operandi. I just look pensive all the time.
Don't be afraid. It's all right.
Any reactions to that?
Yeah, I wonder in terms of the practicalities of leaving the shell, the old shell behind.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, yeah, doing that in practice is often harder than it is in theory. So maybe you have some thoughts on that.
I'll get to some. Yeah, I think maybe let me go back again. It's small. It's micro change. It's not this. It's really micro. And again, we get overwhelmed if we're aiming and we see this because everybody else is changing much quicker than us and they're doing the transformations and the overnight success. Horseshit. You're missing this. So the leaving the container is that more than the jump. And that's probably some of the practical stuff is patience, slowing down. My, again, mentor, the same guy, his name is Daryl. I refer to him often because I adore him and he's taught me so much. He says, Philip, you have a 24-hour window. I'm trying to share stuff as it's coming up rather than just going in a flow, but you have a 24-hour window. What's the more of, less of? More of, less of. And just make those updates every day. That makes everything possible. Because then it's, again, not too overwhelming. It's not an identity shift. Some of the work is supporting yourself or other people be here. So again, in that messy middle, are you reminding people where they're going? Are you reminding yourself and clear about where you're going? Or is the past still, again, too certain, too clear, that it's just more comfortable to go back to it? So this is always going to be messy. If you're individually going through change, remind yourself what you're doing that's really good. Yes, remind yourself where you're moving backwards, but don't forget to top it up with feedback that you're doing well. You're moving forward. You're kinder to yourself. You're showing up. All that kind of stuff. This is going to feel messy because your identity is under threat. Because again, you're moving into a new environment. Just support yourself. Encourage yourself. And all you have to do is focus on one step forward. Small, micro, 1% change. That's how it happens. This makes sense? And the last one then is just help people live and help yourself live into a bigger shell. This is the choice. Open into this bigger space. It's always available. And we're all doing this for ourselves while we're holding other stuff for other people as well. So it can be easy to be overwhelmed because we're not just holding our own stuff. We're holding our family stuff. We're holding our team stuff. We're holding our friends, family. I mean, this is actually a picture of me. Like, I hold everybody's stuff, but I'm really good at handling it. Most of the time, right? But typically, if you're a leader, you're gonna get the stress, the doubt, the chaos projected onto you. You're always tested. Can you handle this? If the answer is yes, it gives them permission to also do the same. If it's for yourself, you're typically gonna hold stuff for your family, for your friends, for your loved ones, all that kind of stuff. We must look after ourselves. That's the secret. It's vitamin P, actually. Let me get a plug, absolute direct plug for vitamin P. It's parasympathetic activity, which I'll show you. So here's a question. Maybe in pairs, just have a conversation about what you might be holding that you could let down for a while. So this is again back to capacity. And sometimes I'm able for a lot and sometimes I'm not able. Sometimes it's because you're carrying more than is yours to hold. Sometimes it's because you're carrying more that doesn't serve you anymore as well. Just turn to your partner, the person beside you. Anything you could let down or leave behind. Did everybody have something that they could talk about in this example? Right? Test it. How might you hold a little bit less? Deal? Does anybody want to share? For me, it's like everybody else's problems and beliefs and containers that no longer serve me. I'm holding them. I need to let go of them a little bit more. Anybody want to share? The answer can be no. Brian, you're like, no. Move on. Is there stuff that you could let go of?
I was just saying with my mum, we've been on about a 12-18 month journey to get an Alzheimer's diagnosis, which she's now got. But it's actually allowed me to sort of, because it was a big effort to get her that.
Yeah.
So it's allowed me to sort of really put down less of that burden, just to drive that process, if you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
as much as it's not easy getting the formal confirmation, it's still something to put it down for a while.
Yes.
Now she's on a course, so it's something, slight relief.
Yeah. And I mean, sometimes we can choose to hold more because we know that it's time bound or that it's for people that we love. But again, it's just resourcing yourself to be able to hold it is really important. And I'm glad to hear that as well. Really useful question. Is this mine to hold? You'll get tested against that all the time. Just push against it when it's useful. Deal? Please don't take a picture of this or I'll be arrested again. Or cite the company. Please don't take a picture. So this is my favorite Mia. Please don't take a picture. Just this one, not this one. Sorry. Let me tell you a story. I did a TEDx roughly 2 years ago. I didn't do this. So it looked like the model was mine. I got an email off the CEO of this company to say, that's copyright infringement. You can't do that. And I really care about that company. And I mean, when I talk about anxiety and stress and chaos and like literally a trauma response, fuck, my body went to like absolute chaos. I didn't sleep for 2 nights. The LinkedIn post 2 weeks ago about an email that I didn't sleep well afterwards with is because of that. Just a horrible feeling. Let me explain it now. So if the result we want is different, we must change our behavior. That's top of the water in the iceberg model. We can see behavior change. But again, we go through that change cycle of caterpillar to butterfly. If I tell you the way to work away from smaller shell and grow into the bigger shell is do a sun dance every day and then a rain dance in the afternoon, you'll be thinking horseshit doesn't work. So our thoughts affect whether we do or don't do things. True? Roughly true. Yeah? Our thoughts are directly related to what we're feeling at the time. So if you have a really stressed day, or you've just come back from Easter break and it's been really lovely and you've had cuddled with your spaniels and a great time with the beach, whatever, very different thoughts because the feelings are different. Feelings are just the label to the emotion or the feeling in your body, all directly related to physiology. Physiology is what nervous system I spend in time in, sympathetic or parasympathetic. Parasympathetic is obviously the answer to all of this because it's vitamin P. Yes, my name is Philip and my wife calls me vitamin P, but it's parasympathetic, it's physiology. If we can tune into this stuff, I think we can solve way bigger problems because we'll actually have the capacity to do it, more or less. So this model is cool. Anytime I'm working with somebody, this is what I run through. What's going on under the water? That's meaning that they're showing up doing behaviors that aren't useful for their performance. So Greg works in HR kind of consulting. You're going to get performance management stuff showing up here. One of the people that I've been given as a coaching client recently is this person is emotional, keeps talking over people in meetings, all this kind of stuff, needs to change. All I hear is somebody that's in sympathetic, scared state just needs space to feel safe. They're in this shell and they're just acting out because they don't know what to do because they're afraid. Does that make sense? The model, roughly? I don't want to get one of those emails again, so that's why I'm sorry about telling you not to take a picture. It hurt my body and being for 2 days. I didn't sleep. It was crazy because I really want to do work with that company and I've damaged my chances of doing it because of it. One mistake on one slide. It's crazy, like. When I got the email, this is what I felt. Absolute chaos in my body, right? And this shows up in heart rate variability like this. So I measure my heart rate variability on an Oura ring. Whoop straps will do it. They're not medical grade. Whoop straps will do it. It's roughly the same. Apple Watches will do it. It's just not as accurate. Garmin's, Polar, some of those kind of things measure this stuff. Again, imagine bottom of the iceberg. This is the signal. Chaos going to your emotions, going to your feelings, going to your thoughts. Do you think you're more or less likely to go towards new behaviors or old ones? We'll always go back to certainty. It's too chaotic, right? Versus this, calm, resourceful, balanced, safe, shows up like this in your heart rate. It's a more what's called coherent signal. There's an equal kind of measure between each of the points. Really good state. Again, imagine this at the bottom. Emotions, feelings, thoughts, behaviors, results. Makes a big difference. So I think it's the balance between these two things. Sympathetic activity on one side. Some sympathetic activity, I'm not judging this as bad. This is not bad, it's activation energy. When you feel this, it's energy to go. But too much of it for too long, you'll burn out. Not enough of this recovery or recharging. So this is how you increase capacity. Widen this, because life will give you this. Life will sort this out. It'll just give it to you. It's always there. Balancing with this, really powerful. You can absolutely take on more. So roughly what I want to show you is a couple of things that trigger this. I'll get you to feel it. We'll test it out. but we've been going roughly 45 minutes. Does anybody need a break or to stand up or walk or coffee and water? Do you want to take like 2 minutes? Yeah, just shake your legs. Here, watch. So here's normal day. Sympathetic activity is just like activation energy. So stress added to the system. Work. Coffee. Coffee agitates my system. It actually triggers, more likely to make you anxious if you can't kind of regulate against it. I notice I'm definitely more anxious when I have coffee, or too many coffees and not enough food. So sympathetic activity is just like activation energy during the day. A little bit of stress, bit of cortisol, so that hormone in your body, normal. Parasympathetic activity is the rest and digest, not the kind of threat response. Let me act on this information. I need to get everything done. My to-do list is growing arms and legs and it's getting away from me. All that side. Parasympathetic is what's the counterbalance to the stress. And I'm going to show you some stuff that helps here, but roughly that's it. So nervous system activated, nervous system at rest. And we go through loops of this anyway. It's normal to have, I mean, I drew this curve. Can you tell this is relaxed? Is this all right to be like, here, I did this picture? Please like my picture that I did yesterday. No, it's not even there. Just a curve. Connection, protection, connection, more or less. Parasympathetic, parasympathetic, we go into sympathetic. This happens typically like that during a day. We get the resolution of the trauma or the stress. It can resolve and then we can take on more. When our capacity or it hasn't gotten to resolve, it builds up. Like this, if this wasn't here, that would spill into the next day. And the next day, and the next day. So this is why with Gestalt, closing the loops, bookending your days is really important so that it doesn't spill into Easter weekend, time with the family, walking the spaniels, right? Maybe, have I made any clearer sense with that?
Yeah, no, it makes complete sense because I think this week I handled stress really, really badly.
Perfectly, actually.
Sorry? Horrifically. This is husband and wife here, just in case anybody doesn't know, right? That's why it's not some randomer in the room going, she's horrific. Yeah.
So bad, like full on strop before we left the house earlier because a t-shirt that looks pretty much exactly like this one, only
makeup,
shiny,
wasn't sure.
that I couldn't find it, and I'm like, in the clothes, like literally acting like sexual, and I actually just can't take it off. But then I haven't had a day off.
So then imagine this is week, 2 weeks, activation, no down. So there's not been the balance of these two things. I'm religious about this. I wear an Oura ring, I can show you my data. Roughly for the last 3 to 4 weeks, 90% recovery. Every day, 90% sleep, almost every day. I'm religious about this stuff because I want to be able to do this forever. I'm not in this for the short term, forever. No pension, I left a pensionable job. Right? I need your money. Please give it out. Right? This is closing, so it's a fear response. Again, back to the, not back to the future, back to the past. Narrow, small, play small, closing. This is opening, I believe, to a little bit more of life. You can settle, you can look out the door, not get lost banging into the window. Sympathetic activity, running around, acting like a child. I didn't use that. Your husband told me to say it. I'm just kidding. Really useful. So you needed some of this, and that showed up in a way that you didn't show up intentionally, you showed up reactively. So less choice here, more choice here, because you're slower. And Darren reminded me of a quote. Darren, I'm so glad you're here. Maybe Darren is a friend and is really good to me for kind of doing content and stuff like that. So I find him just so cool to be part of my journey and on it. But he reminded me of a quote I said to, when did I say it to you? There's much to do, there's little time, we must go slow.
Someone always said to me, sometimes you need to pause and take a step forward.
Yes, beautiful. As said by Carl. Yeah, but it's true. So again, it's the slowing down like the fly rather than banging into the window, thinking this thing needs more work. It doesn't. Sometimes it needs a little bit of vitamin P, right? A little bit of slow. Because when you're slow, you can be more thoughtful. You can choose who you are, not react. It makes a big difference. Helpful?
Yeah,
Back to crabs. I can't remember why I put this slide here. Just pretend it wasn't here. More or less, sympathetic activity on the left, vitamin P, parasympathetic on the right. When we're in sympathetic state, our vision narrows. The smallest thing appears like the biggest thing. Because again, imagine you're going from known world to unknown world. Everything beyond known is a threat. So we link our survival to that email that came through that told me this is copyright infringement. I thought I was going to die. That's what my body took it as. That was the message that I got. All I could think about for 2 days was that. In a more regulated, relaxed state, you're more able to take in more information. Your body is literally in a better state to be able to perceive, think strategically into the future, think about other people's needs, not just, will I survive today? Does this make sense? Because visually, this is wild. I couldn't believe this when I found this out. And typically, you'll see yourself showing up here. Why can't I get this thing out of my head? Why am I overthinking all this stuff? It's because you're in a stressed state. It's information. It's not good or bad. It's just a thing. A little bit more kindness, a little bit more compassion. Normal, human. All we need to do is top up ourselves with a little bit of vitamin P again. I'm gonna plug the shit out of this all night, right? I want you to buy my, I don't know what I'm selling. I do a tap dance in the second half in about 10 minutes. It's unbelievable. This is how you're, so maybe, let me go back again. Known world, unknown world. Mind and body will put anything it needs to do to throw in front of you to say, don't move forward. You stayed alive. This is how your mind plays tricks on you. This is the one that we talked about. So perfectionism. I have to get it perfect or else it's awful. And see the way it's spelled wrong? Did that deliberately, literally 10 minutes before you came in. So our mind goes to, so this is how your mind plays tricks on you. All or nothing. Either this presentation was unbelievable or it was terrible. So I'll ring Katie, my wife, in the car on the way home. Nobody came. Or people came, nobody liked it. Or one person folded their arms. He didn't even fold his arms. I'm just making it up, right? Then that means nobody cared. Nobody got any value from it. So our mind goes to this black and white because in an environment where you're under threat, quick decisions are much better. Daniel Kahneman passed away today. Thinking Fast and Slow was his book. He talks about the System 1 and System 2 thinking. I can't remember which is which. Let's make believe I get it right. Pretend System 1 is fast under pressure. Our mind and body, it's really quick to make binary decisions, 1 or 0. In times of threat and chaos, really useful. But when we want to change, we want to grow, we want to expand, not useful. One way we get it wrong. One way our mind plays tricks on us for moving forward. Next, fortune telling. Thinking we can predict the future. Like, Jonathan might trip up here, so therefore I should keep him in a seat. Or the piece of paper might blow, so therefore I could do something wrong. Whatever it is, we think we can predict the future. Horseshit, you can't. Minimization. I shouldn't curse. I'm really sorry for using that word. Minimization is, have you ever seen people playing football with the binoculars on the wrong way around? And the ball to them appears like it's close, but it's actually miles away, and they kick it and miss and fall over? No, just me? Please Google it when you go home. It's hilarious. But we do that. We push away our skills, our confidence, our abilities in ourselves. We feel more doubt, more insecurity. We're less likely to feel, actually, I can do the thing. Again, in times of lots of sympathetic activation. This is tunnel vision, a little bit like the all or nothing one. This is the perfectionism. So until my next step is perfect, so this is another tool. I'm going to link it back to you a few times. Unless my next step is perfect or until I feel perfectly ready, well then I can't move forward. So that holds a lot of people back. It's really useful. It keeps you alive. But do you want to move forward? Please say yes. So then it can stay in the passenger seat, but you're going to drive forward anyway. It's just telling you, just watch out for this. You might need to pay attention to it. That's all it is. Don't let it be. What is it? Let it be a speed bump, not a stop sign. Don't retreat. Always open. Don't close. This is catastrophizing. So anything that can go wrong will go wrong. The roof might fall. The light might fall on Ross. I don't want that to happen. Therefore, I should never do the talk. Right? Because then again, I stay safe. I stay alive. Your mind and body will do anything it needs to do to stand in its way. And this is emotional reasoning. So because I feel nervous, I don't know that I'm a good public speaker. Therefore, I shouldn't do it. Because I might lose the approval of a crowd, which is against my survival. I might die. This is all going on here to keep me where I am. Known world, safe, alive. Unknown, danger. Your mind just wants to keep you safe, but we judge ourselves when we experience it as bad. It's not bad, it's all part of it. Just overthinking. Because again, what does overthinking do? Blurs where you could go next, so again, you don't move. So your body doesn't feel safe, so it's staying up here. So the answer is always in the body. How can you create safety in the body? Maybe any other reactions to this? Maybe hands up. Does everybody see this play out in yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah? Any reactions to it?
This resonates deeply. Mutual friend Ruth Young was the first person to ever point out the importance of being aware of perfectionism to me a number of years ago on a phone call. And I attribute that, I associate that with me when I'm creating PowerPoint presentations for training. 4 o'clock in the morning, we have a training session at 9. 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm still sitting there changing text, changing color.
Yeah, this. Yeah.
Narrow.
If that font isn't to the left aligned 3x.3, I could die.
Yeah.
That's what that's the command your body takes.
It's powerful. It's very powerful, the impact. And so over a period of years, I've alongside my business partner Sean, who would be like that. He's my voice in the back of my head. He's like, wise up and do something. Put it down on paper. Just start the snowball. And I've learned. And one thing that I just wanted to share, which was because it's an anxious state you go to. Like I literally sweat. And one of the things I heard when I was going down a deep dark, a rabbit hole of learning about me, was when you want to overcome, something you said there, like perfectionism prevents you from doing anything at all, right? And that resonates massively with me because that's what used to happen to me. Whether it was creating a course, creating a PowerPoint, I just wanted it to be so perfect that I was yards behind, miles behind where I should be, getting closer, pressure building. And I watched something, and it was a TED Talk, and it was a guy, an Indian fella, and he said, treat your anxious thoughts or the things that you're fearful of like you're a scientist, and just imagine, yeah, you're gonna spike, your sympathetic response is gonna spike, right? But you have to keep, I suppose, experimenting with that feeling, because each time it's going to go like that. If you keep doing it, just for everybody, right? My understanding of it now is, do it again. You're still going to get a feeling, but it's not going to be just as intense because, oh behold, you haven't died. Just keep doing it until it lowers and lowers and lowers, and that I've got to a place now where I understand enough about me to know that when those feelings come in, I go back to the journey I've been on and I tell myself, but I haven't died yet. So crack on and see what happens.
Thankfully, right? I'm really glad you're here. Thanks for not dying on the way, right?
So that's just my 2 pence on it, because this image, I've taught people this recently, this image of spiked anxiety. Keep doing the same thing. And it's not just perfectionism, it's OCD for me, it's lots of different things.
Yeah.
And it worked, well, it's worked for me.
I was going to show this slide later on, and I mean, so answer to perfectionism, just draw shitty pictures on a page, right? It's fine.
Yeah, pretty
or put in a crab and you can't remember why you put it in, right? Honestly, you'd be fine. The secret to all of this stuff, can we go 10.0 for a second? Life is going to be the blend of good and bad. Don't judge when this shows up, like, oh, I'm in perfectionism. Just accept it. It's actually just an experience. A little bit of agitation, maybe a little bit of sweaty palms, a little bit of shortness of breath. Just an experience. That's the emotion. Just observe it with curiosity rather than judgment. I'm not bad for this. It's not bad. It's just a thing. The scientist is awareness and curiosity rather than judgment. Awful human. That's the only difference.
What's that Tom Hanks quote? This too shall pass.
Yeah, this will also change. It's just a thing, and we resist it. Somebody that I coach runs a extremely large business, and he, in our 2 conversations ago, said to me, I want to get rid of anger. And I said, tell me about it. Every time it shows up, I just want to get it gone. And I said, it's because you're resisting it that it's getting more energy and it's showing up a little bit more. So it's becoming all of your attention. What is it? Where attention goes, energy flows and results show. It's just getting all your attention, so of course it's growing. What if you just accepted that it was part of the human experience? He's like, Philip, it's gone. Oh, funny that. Because you're not resisting it. You're not adding, I'm judging it as bad, so therefore I'm bad. So therefore shame and guilt and all the kind of stuff that we're left with. No, horseshit. Just part of it. I said the word again. I said I wasn't going to say it. Is this helpful?
Yeah.
Right? Normal. Don't judge yourself when this shows up. All it means, you need vitamin P. Give me a call. It's only £1 billion. No, I'm just kidding. So I said, known, unknown, mind and body, everything in the way. So you're sailing into the unknown across the horizon. I love this. David White, beautiful book, Crossing the Unknown Sea, Work as a Pilgrimage of Identity. Unbelievable book. If you use my discount code, you can, I'm just kidding, don't have a discount code. Stars were like North Star, we navigated across into the unknown. That's how they would have navigated. Emotions are our information to be able to navigate the environment from where we are to where we're going. Again, not good or bad, just maybe away from this, towards this. Away from, towards. Look what I'm doing. I'm navigating the environment using my emotions. It's just information. It's not good or bad. This next picture, when I found it, so maybe just, I have a post going out next week. It's probably one of my most vulnerable. Check in on Tuesday, 12 o'clock on LinkedIn. More or less, I've tried to rebuild. So I've understood the world conceptually out there because my body and the moment wasn't safe. Because of some things that happened in my life and because of some of the pressure or like adulting I had to do at home. Really difficult. So that's why I understand all this stuff. My work is, can I understand what's going on in my body? So one of the things that's really helpful for me is maps, right? Ignore that this is there. I'll go back to it, right? More or less, there's good and bad emotions, which is this one, right? Let's make believe we didn't do that. Left-hand side, this map of emotions really helps me get clear on what am I actually feeling. When I'm clear on it, it can help me know what to do next, right? Left-hand side, increased stress. Right-hand side, more relaxed. This is low energy or low heart rate. Higher energy, higher heart rate, right? This is called catabolic. So again, this is fear. It's a closing energy. This is a opening energy. I want people to lead with love. That's this side. This is fear. Let me get anxious and control and narrow and small and safe, right? So let's go. End of a busy week. Really stressful. Low heart rate in the evening. How come I can't relax? My mind is on. This is some of the stuff that can happen. This is some of the emotions that you'll feel in your body, or what we label them as. If you add a bit of agitation, it's going to be these things. Stressed, tantrum, child, right? Let me fight against this stuff. Normal, all normal. Increased heart rate, stressed. So that's just what's going on in your body. Again, accept it, recognize it. I'm a little bit anxious here. Predicting negative about the future. Therefore, how do I move myself back over to here? I'm going to give you some of the tools to be able to do that. But it's recognizing where you are and going, what do I need from this position? Do I need to calm my energy, or do I need to recover a little bit more? Again, sympathetic, a little bit more parasympathetic activity. Does this make sense? This blew my mind when I first saw it. And I mean, the chemicals that's going on behind the scenes, you want to spend as little time here as possible, way more time on the other side. Oh, you were trying to get me in. Oh, sorry. Make sense? Any reactions to this?
Seems so simple as on the word.
I know.
When you're in the midst of it, now your fucking head's going mad. It's not how you get out of it.
Yeah. And typically, so let's say event of head gone mad is over there. Typically, we'll learn about it when we've had an impact on people in the meantime. And when we have like a calm or a headspace, or we get, gee, I was an arsehole back then. So the work, if you choose to accept this mission, is walk closer to the event and raise awareness in the moment a little bit more often. So over time, I journal. That's how I do it. You're getting closer to in the moment. So I noticed when you were kind of talking, I can't remember what the thing was. I'm a little bit agitated. I'm not as present. So that was roughly 5 minutes after the thing. Now I'm trying to do it closer in the moment and just ground and regulate a little bit more. So watch this. This is how I'll do it right now. My weight is on my left foot. Watch this. Just center, and I can feel my energy change straight away, and now I'm just grounding. So it's a little bit more live in the moment at the time. Don't judge yourself for not being able to do it in the moment. Just observe it as much as you can, or try and get it closer to the event a little bit more. Does this make sense? So it's raising awareness. Typically reflection will be later on or away from the moment. Just notice in the moment a little bit more often. Does it make sense? Any other reactions to this? Helpful?
So I'm thinking here
Yeah.
about, so some of the work that I'm doing is helping accountants prepare for a prospective client meeting. And they may not have met with this person.
Yep.
And I think quite often about their state,
Yes.
how they show up, and how they can be present in the moment. And much of what you're touching on here is impacting their ability to perform at their best.
Yes.
So, yeah, I don't know if there's a question in that, but it's an observation, I think, on what you're covering here.
It's this. They think I need to show up, need to do the thing, but they're not paying attention to any of the stuff under the water. The stuff that's actually going to change. It always starts here. This is going to happen anyway. You may as well use it for your performance, because that's going to show up in the results that you get.
And you were describing their journaling and moving closer to the event. Are you preparing yourself mentally for something by going through that process? Is that what I understood?
No, so that's retro, so that's in the past. So let's say, I don't think it was Darren, I think it was Damien who was here earlier on. I wrote down something the other day, it's in my other journal. I felt despair. And I tried to journal about it live in the moment rather than let me think about it afterwards, what was wrong with Tuesday. So maybe ask your question. Sorry, I think I've blurred it.
Well, I'm wondering actually just in terms of getting into that frame of mind to be present and preparing ourselves mentally for an event like a meeting with a prospect, as I gave that example.
Yes.
And you'd mentioned journaling, and I was wondering, is that sort of, obviously being more prepared is going to help you to be more present in the moment because you're not having to think about other things, potentially?
Or you could be staying up until 4 a.m. So prepare to a point, but preparation is not just the material that you bring, it's also against state.
Yeah.
So with state today, I watched, can we wander here, yeah? Because I want to try and show you that I'm trying to role model what I'm talking about. Like I noticed my anxiety earlier on. This is a clean shirt. I had a t-shirt on because I knew I was going to sweat. So that's my body just saying, are you ready? Let's go. Do you want to use this energy or do you want to get defeated by it? If I judge the nerves as bad, or if these people judge their nerves as bad, or the little kind of anxiety that they're feeling as bad, that can cause state change as well and make them show up again less good. But if you can learn to regulate as often as you can ahead of the thing, that again will feel like a threat to your survival.
Yes.
Do you think I'm showing up a little bit more thoughtfully now than if I was really nervous?
Absolutely.
Right? It changes. We can be more present. We can be more intentional. How do I want to be? So what's that state? That state might be attentive, so let me make eye contact. It may be more grounded. Tell my feet that it's safe. If I'm doing this, I'm telling my body or my mind, it's not safe to be where you are. Where you're standing is not safe. So it's sending a signal all the time. It can track it. I could probably show you. If you ground and tell your body it's safe to be where you are, it's fine. There's different practices, but I'll show you a few.
Again, similar to what you just said, and I think already come up, but do you have a ritual of grounding exercises or something you do before you go into a coaching or a speaking event to?
Let me show you. All I did earlier on was just, this is fine, right? Everybody having a good time? Yeah? Is this all right? Feet on the floor, flat, not like different. What I do is I actually just focus on the exhale. I'll show it to you in a second on a slide anyway about breathing, because exhale is parasympathetic activity. And then I just call out what I see around me. So in the environment, cup, piece of paper, JP, Ross. And that brings me into the moment, because now I'm making observations in my place. That's telling my mind and body, you're in the moment. Regulate breathing, so make roughly, so rhythm is really important. There's roughly 10 metrics you can choose and change with your breathing. Rhythm is most important. Doesn't matter inhale to exhale, keep the number the same. Let's say it's this, let's say it's this, just keep the rhythm the same. So 4 in, 5 out, as an example. Just keep it the same for roughly a minute. So I catch my breathing all the time, let me say it a different way, as often as possible, but specifically ahead of a time when I know I'm going to be stressed. So if I'm meeting somebody, difficult conversation, need to tell someone the truth, or even catch it live, I'm like, fuck, I'm feeling a little bit alert here. Just focus on breathing. Nobody knows you're doing it. You're just telling your body it's safe. So when you're going into the ring next week, Carl is doing a white collar boxing on Friday. I'm going to try and get the link. It's for an unbelievable cause. I would invite you to consider donating. I think it's a beautiful thing that you're doing, even if you're trying to hurt somebody else, right? But again, your sympathetic response will go up. Threat. This environment is dangerous. Telling your body that it's safe, regulating breathing, sitting where you are, whatever kind of just flows with the energy or just regulates it and tells it that it's safe. Typically, it's going to be a ground where you are. The answer, if your mind is going crazy, is always in the body. The other way around, if your body's feeling a bit agitated, there may be something that's happening in your mind, like story, identity, all that kind of stuff. Make sense?
Perfect.
Roughly true? I was talking about this. I imagine it like this. Fear again on the left, the kind of closing and narrowing. It's trying to keep you safe, trying to keep you back to known world. Love and this kind of expandedness, I think is what we need in the world at the moment, right? And this is why I call it like wholehearted. I imagine this is just half of your heart. This is the closing part. Your heart is a valve, it opens and closes. This is the opening part. The invitation is a little bit more of this, more often. I can recommend a book there if it's helpful. The Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer. The way to stay open is to never close. Notice when you close. Notice when those things show up. Choose to stay open instead. Make sense? With the positive emotions on the right-hand side, sometimes the rules we inherit around feeling good are, again, I'll use the word and I told you I wouldn't, but it's horseshit. It's just made up. All horseshit. One of the rules that I inherit from watching LinkedIn or watching Instagram or whatever it is, I'll be successful when I have Ferrari. I'm on holidays every week. Drive 14 different cars that are all over £1 million, I don't know, whatever it is. Have multiple wives, like whatever. So I feel successful, sorry Orla, when all those things. So the expectation is way off into the future, so I'll never feel it in the moment. I don't know what that noise is, that's hilarious.
It is quite hilarious.
So what if I change my rule? I feel gratitude when I have a glass of water in front of me that contains clean water. You've brought the emotion that you pushed out to the future into the present. You can feel it right now. I feel successful when more than me and Darren showed up today. Even when just Darren showed up today, right? We change the rule. We don't change the expectation way beyond what reality can ever do. And that's what happens. We judge reality against these horseshit expectations. We never get to experience the emotions in the present. For example, pitch, right? I want to feel excited about the pitch, present, but also thoughtful and demonstrate leadership. I feel when I plan enough, seek first to understand, then be understood, right? So we can use this really powerfully to create more of those positive emotions. Test it. We inherit rules. They're made up by somebody else. We live in a capitalist society that tells you until you have Rolex, 14,000 different Apple Watches, all this kind of stuff, well, then you're not enough. Then you're not good enough. Then you can't be happy. Buy this thing, buy this thing, buy this thing. Oh shit, you can feel it right now. Test it. Deal? I got a little bit excited there. Anybody, any reactions to that? Or do you want to just take a minute and think about an emotion you want to feel more often? It could be one from here if you need a list. So I feel excited or peaceful when I. And what actions can you do in your days? When I make a warm cup of tea. When I go for a walk in nature. Whatever it is. Take a minute to do that. And I realize as well with time, we've roughly 15 minutes from what I contracted. Please, can we go a little bit over? That's okay. Okay, we'll do 15 slides in 4 minutes, right? Take that as homework with that exercise. It's really powerful, okay? I used to call this, if I had a leader for 30 minutes, here's what I tell them to do to get more vitamin P. Now I've changed that a little bit for tonight, how to experience more vitamin P and open to the moment in front of us. So again, rather than fear, thought and emotions playing tricks on us to stay the same, how might we open a little bit more to the future? So this is going to be 14 slides, 1 minute. Sleep quality, extremely important, foundational, everything. More or less, same awake, same asleep, every day, including weekends. Profound impact. I have other tips. Send me an email. It's £1,000. I'll send you the document. I'm just kidding. Food is really important. I eat chocolate way too much. Less sugar, more protein. I won't say any more because I can't preach because I don't practice it. Water, typically we're dehydrated. If you're dehydrated, your body's in a sympathetic survival state. We need water, so your mind and body will play tricks on you again. Really helpful to build in. Breathing. Do you want to test something out? We can test this. So I'll demonstrate it. Everybody is sitting, which is good. I'm not qualified to do this. Any complaints, maybe send them to Darren. If anybody dies, it's not my fault, right? So just watch this. Inhale is sympathetic activity. More energy, more activation energy. If ever you're feeling like procrastination, this is what you do. Parasympathetic is on the exhale. So extending exhales. Sympathetic activity is big inhales. I'll show you the difference and then we'll play with it ourselves, right? Left, morning. Right, evening. Again, you want to wake up in the morning, you might not have access to coffee. That's really important as well about coffee. Delay it 90 minutes when you first wake up. Don't have it after 2 p.m. Sorry. Inhale. Watch this. Don't let it all the way out. Right? Excite your system. There's gonna be goosebumps in a second. So you're just adding lots of energy to your system. Big inhales, sympathetic activity, ready to take on the world. Adding energy to your system. If you wanna sleep and you can't, long, slow exhales. So watch this, in through my nose, blowing long, slow exhales out through, imagining a straw out your mouth, like this. Right? Do you wanna test the two and feel the difference? So watch my hands. I'm gonna do inhale, and then a bit of an exhale, inhale, bit of an exhale, right? So watch, I'll demonstrate it first and you do the second one. Three more. Feel different? Cool. Breathing makes a difference. Now I want you to do like a inhale with your nose, long, slow exhale out through your mouth. So inhale. 3 more. Right? Feel different? Right? You're always going to be breathing. Figure out what you need more of. Typically, if you're in a stressful situation, you need longer, slower exhales, less activation. You'll feel tired after that. I promise. We've only a few more slides to go, right? Any questions on this? So far, so good? This is parasympathetic. Again, in stressful situations, a minute of that, you'd be surprised how much it can regulate you. And maybe I should also say, we've played with big inhales, big exhales. What's really helpful as well is do like a 4 in, 4 out. You get more coherence. The reason I don't talk about that is typically this will be higher. So we should prioritize the exhale instead. And they take the leap of faith. They jump into the unknown And what happens is, some make it. They back their wings and they fly. Some don't and they die. I hope you're not the second group, but more or less, that's the lesson from the albatross, right? We have to back ourselves. We might mess up, but we have to be who we are. We can both be, but we are also built to become. It's really important that we focus on that. And more or less, I think I've like 2 slides left. 1%. What's your 1%? What's 15 minutes a day that you could spend implementing or acting on something that we talked about? What might be the more of? What might be the less of? Brian, have you 4 minutes? Yeah? Just have a conversation with the person beside you. What might this be? What might you need to build in more of with some of these things that I talked about? And then, I'll tell you what, let me do it a different way. Here's some really good books. I would recommend all of them. That's the one I talked about, the David Whyte one. He's a Welsh poet. A beautiful book. Some other really good ones. 4,000 Weeks, beautiful book. Probably one of my favorite books is the top one in the middle, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse. Got me through COVID. Beautiful book. You can read it in 15 minutes. If you don't cry, you're a monster. This is very good. All are very good. Really good books. I think that's it. Yeah, awesome. Good. 3 minutes to spare.